not park at it.
No, I'm going to start off the presentation, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Edwards. So I'll say when I went to superintendent school, there weren't many classes on pipelines, so I've learned a lot about this over the last few years. So to start off, is it work? Here we go. There we go. So one thing I want to point out is the site was bought for the New Midland High School that was acquired in 2019 by the school district. At that time, the board and the district, I believe, I wasn't here, but from everything we've seen, we're well aware of the pipeline easement and the shallow pipelines. The pipeline easement traverses the site. It was originally created in the 1940s, covered the entire 240-acre parcel. Magnolia released the majority of the easement in 1957 to Ranchland, and the current easement is now 85 feet wide and traverses diagonally across the southwest corner of the site. Energy Transfer owns the easement that was purchased from Centurion in 2023, and the multiple pipelines exist within the easement. So late 22 into early 2023 is when they came in and bored 2 deep pipelines in that easement. So there are 2 deep pipelines and 2 shallow pipelines. You're going to see both options tonight. You'll be presented with 2 options, and then at the end of that, I will make a recommendation to the board. I want to run through the concept design. And so during bond planning, and when I came to the district and we found out they were going to bore the deep pipelines, one of the questions I immediately asked was, does this have any implications on the future high school site? And I was told the answer was no by our existing team. So during the bond program, we used a conceptual design, which was not the actual design, because typically you don't spend the time and the money to create the full design until a bond passes, because that wouldn't be prudent use of our dollars. So in this conceptual design, even from the very beginning, back when this was used, that you'll notice there are no structures other than a parking lot on the pipeline. So we knew all along that we couldn't put a building there. We didn't go into full design until bond 2023 passed, and that's when we moved into the full design part. And so now Jay will take you through that.
So once the bond passed in November of 2023, we started the process of hiring the design professionals. Pfluger architects and Dunaway engineers were contracted to design the New Midland High School site in February of 2024. And within 2 months, once they got started with the programming, they started communications with Energy Transfer. They were able to provide a preliminary site plan to Energy Transfer in October of that year, after they had gone through programming and did preliminary design. You see on the screen is the design that has evolved some since then, but this does look somewhat like what we have now. And that was provided to Energy Transfer. After reviewing this from October to December, Energy Transfer notified the engineers that they did not want any parking over the top of that easement. Because of that feedback, Pfluger then went through and developed 2 site plan options and presented those to Midland ISD in February of 2025. Option A was to leave the existing pipelines in place and relocate the parking lots. And option B was to relocate the existing pipelines and leave the parking lots as they were originally designed. So option A is that very viable option to continue to leave the pipelines exactly where they are and just use the redesigned parking lot. This option was provided to Energy Transfer, and then Energy Transfer came back and said that they still would like to reinforce the pipeline where there was any type of roadway crossing going over that easement. And so those are indicated by the red boxes on the plan. There's 8 different lanes that cross that easement going back and forth between parking lots, essentially. They estimated the cost of this option would be approximately $1.2 million. Option B would be to provide a new easement on the perimeter of the site, indicated in red, and then attempt to negotiate with Energy Transfer to restrict any further shallow pipes to be built in that existing diagonal right-of-way. The reroute of the two shallow pipelines would be designed and performed and executed by Energy Transfer, and they estimate that cost currently to be about $2.8 million. And so really tonight we wanted to come to the board to talk about the two options that will allow us to continue to move forward with the project and get direction from the board as to which of the two options is most viable.
So as you know, we've been working through this with the board in a meeting since late August. And after weighing the pros and cons of both options and looking at the long-term benefits for the site of the new Midland High School, it is my recommendation we take option 2 and begin official negotiations with Energy Transfer to amend and relocate the easement for the shallow pipelines.
Option B, correct.
Option B, yes. Good point, to be consistent.
I knew what you meant. We got Mr. Hall Monitor over here, down here, which is good. We need that. So, are you done? Is that it?
That's it.
We
will try to answer any question you have.
I move to approve 9I.
It's moved. Hold on. Any questions? Questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment.
Who wants to go first? Y'all, paper, rock, scissors.
No, you go ahead. I went first last time.
Go ahead.
You can go.
What's the, how much contingencies did we have built into this site? So it's a $450 million build, right? Approximately?
Yes, correct.
What contingency do we have?
We had $3.5 million for unspecified site improvements during as Dr. Howard said, we didn't know what the design was actually going to be on that, so we do have $3.5 million at this campus. After we have, it was larger, but we used some of that for the roadway improvements at Wadley that are earmarked in the developer's agreement. So $3.5 million is what we have at this point.
Okay. Yeah, for me, the only thing I want to say is there's been a lot of talk about this issue, right, back and forth. As a board member, I can't control what was said or done in years past leading up to this. All I can do is what I feel is right today. And today, the right thing for me to do is to support the movement of the pipeline to the edge of the property to ensure that it's never an issue. When we're talking about building a $450 million school, then splitting a parking lot in half and having a pipeline easement right between two parking lots, doesn't make much sense to me. So I think it's worth, 0.7% of total build cost to ensure that this pipeline's not an issue for if history repeats itself 100 years. So that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, I kind of concur with Josh is saying and Mr. Gwynn. One of the things from a safety standpoint of moving the line and hopefully not have the issue arise again in the future, I think is the right thing to do from a standpoint of protecting our students, our staff, and even the community when this project is complete, to assure that we're providing a safer workplace by moving the lines than is if we went the other route and kept them where they were at and paid the crossing fees. So I just think it's the safe and right way to do it. And sometimes doing it safe is going to cost a little bit more so than, this is something we've always done. So I support moving the line.
So, yeah, I think this is the right decision as long as we can get it negotiated. That's one of the key hang-ups is we got to see if they will negotiate and see if we can negotiate with them to get this deal that makes sense. And I also recommend that we get an independent pipeline engineer to sign off on this, that this is the best deal when when presented with both of these options, and we know what we can negotiate, because it sounds like, we've kind of been at a standstill. Also would really like to, going forward as a board, we've been kept out of the loop, and that's unacceptable. We need to be knowing what's going on, especially with big decisions like this. And, I looked at the title today and it's all right in there, and I just don't know how we missed this. I don't think there was due diligence done. And, we had a frenzy in this whole bond thing, and I think going forward, we as a board really need to look at how do we do due diligence and stay in the loop on big decisions like this, so that this doesn't repeat itself. That's kind of where I stand. And a lot of people, they feel misled with this pipeline issue. So,
Cheryl, you second it?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded, but I just want to end it with this before we do it. Mr. Edwards, you and I have spoken about this at length, right? The one thing that I want you to know from me in public, and you already know this, but I'm redoing it in public, is I have full faith that y'all are going to deliver on this. And we don't want to do anything that puts our students in a bind by being able to deliver from Midland. We're not going to beat a dead horse, but you know where I stand on it. You know my issues. There's board members that are going to come up. I've fired lots of people in my life, and there's people younger than me on the board who are probably going to beat that record because they're younger. But you have my full faith that y'all are going to do right, and we're going to deliver on this deal. And going forward, I felt like in a very weird, serendipitous, just odd way, this has been a great learning opportunity, because we have learned as a board and a community, as a taxing entity, to codify this, and we'll have an opportunity to codify going for future boards when we have these big projects. To everyone has signed off on it. When new board members, when there's this dynamic movement of it, we'll be able to fix that, and I think it's going to make us a stronger board, a stronger taxing entity. I mean, we're already number one. We kicked the crud out of the city and everybody else, right? So, kidding, everyone, but thank you, Dr. Howard. I know that this has been an issue. The problem with me was never about pipelines, not we knew about pipelines, it was about the easement. And I just want you to know from me right now that I have full faith that you and your team are going to deliver, you and your team are going to deliver, and I will support moving the pipeline absolutely, because it's the right thing to do for the kids. But we do have a learning opportunity as an entity to prevent this he said, she said, moving forward through codified policy.
I do.
So that's
Can
all.
I?
Anyone else?
Am I working? Okay.
Sorry.
I just want to point one other thing out that we've talked about. Some of us have talked about this, and that Mr. Durham, when we went back to start looking through all of this, on the corner of Fairgrounds and Wadley, on that property that is not our property, you'll see there's a pipeline easement right there. We've done some research. We've, as of today, talked to a representative from Plains Pipeline, because the original document uses a blanket agreement that shows that covers 240 acres. So even though the easement is not on our property, but then it further references 300 feet. And so we sent that over to Mr. Kuiper today, the actual coordinates, and I'm trying to get clarification in writing as to that. Pipeline is actually 4 there, I think. 4 there. And again, it's right on the corner of Fairgrounds and Wadley, not on our property, but we want to get some clarification on the blanket agreement, which people have told us that was very common back in the 40s and 50s when they would do that. But we want to get what is the most up to date.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Edwards. You can come to my office anytime. Next time, bring burritos. It's been motioned. Angel, you got something?
I was going to say that I agree with Dr. Freeze over there
in his comments, but the two words that stand out to me are due diligence. That should have been first and foremost up front. And let us not repeat this again,
When to
please.
codify it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So it is, anyone else? Go ahead, Mr. Y'all are troublemakers over there. Not Ms. Burleson. It has been motioned and seconded that this board approve action item I, the discussion of and request for approval to relocate the pipeline located at 1600 East Wadley Avenue. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous, so moved. Now we're moving on to agenda item 10, closed session in accordance with Government Code Section 551.001